The fuck is a post-workout smoothie? And why is that your sole description of your smoothie? And why is that a recipe category in your bookshop? Anything that meets the consistency can be a post-workout smoothie, or a non-workout smoothie, or indeed a smoothie, divorced from any aerobic correlation. Unless you have positioned your blender at the end of an obstacle course, this is meaningless. When you post about your post-workout smoothie, the post-workout is not an ingredient, it is a brag. I respect an honest brag, it is slimy to hide it, it was easy to work out your post. I don't mind when you say pre-workout smoothie, as that implies a stimulant, or at least hope. My mother asks why I will not give up anything for Lent. I regurgitate climate science, bring up all the foods that will vanish. Chocolate, coffee, corn, potatoes, each ingredient leaves my lips coated in the bile of unforgiveness. I feast now, my Lent will come later. It's rising every year. The gap between the chocolate bar and the size that it used to be. The ratio of the pointless dry husk of a biscuit to the worthwhile creamy centre. The discrepancy between my memory of the heft of crisps in a bag and the smattering now provided. It is called shrinkflation. The profits surge hand in hand with our loss of dignity until all foods are reduced to a mere granule of a simulacrum of a once great institution, purchased only for the echo of what they were, too much empty bag to imagine what we could have become. Remember, we will sigh as we loyally chew our trademarked crumbs. Now is the good time. A scarf eats a crepe. A mullet eats a meat pie. A two-piece suit eats a three-piece sushi tray. A puffer jacket eats a butter chicken, extra mild. A cardigan drinks a herbal tea. A bright-to-be sash drinks an espresso martini. A tank top drinks a post-workout smoothie. Now is abundance. Someday when my Lent arrives, I keep posting each squash location in the procession of abandoned news feeds. I have stopped reheating the canned soup, beans, beef, but I have returned to pouring the wine into a glass. In the morning, I will plant crops in the park alone and wish for Indigenous knowledge. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the organisers. This is my favourite weekend of poetry all year. I love it here. This poem's called Ode to the Clearing. It's just bad time on the internet, good time of poetry. It's me being grateful for that. Online, I get derailed. It's tripping me. I can't relax. Where emotions are a playlist and we're skipping through the tracks. Look, your friend had lunch. Like it. Look, your friend shared a joke. Laugh, react. Look, your friend is struggling through their father's death. Sad, react. Love hut, sad, react. It's weird if you change it. Look, your friend just shared a fascinating tutorial on Danish cord weaving. Wow, react. Look, your friend shared an article about Nazis in Spain. Angry, react. Look, your friends in the ACT had a baby. Love heart, react. These are different people. They're not the same friend having the busiest day ever. But it is the same you reading this, the same day, the same minute. Mostly I can keep up with the churning, the leap up from mourning to learning, but when an agonised missive from the bereaved is followed by tips on how to lace rope weave, it feels dismissive, like we didn't get space to grieve. In Spain, this article claims, Nazis have been granted legal protection so words against them could be treated as a hate crime, and in Canberra, Robert and Charlotte's newborn Clement is perfection. And how are both of these on my screen at the same time? At the supermarket, they give us dividers so we don't buy each other's bread. I need one here instead. I need to fully rage before I turn the page, so when I scroll on yonder to Clement's tiny face, I can hold a full moment of wonder. Perhaps poetry has the benefit of training us to be fitter for a lifetime of Twitter, because here, whatever stories we bring, they have room to ring. Poetry has its own speed. 1 minute, I'm at the end of the world eating cold canned beans, and 8 minutes later, Jess will entreat that a truly strong man meets a sensitive need, and 8 minutes later, through David, you'll meet a couple who's suffering on Nimbin streets. But here I can keep my head up with the shifting, the leap up from dread to uplifting, because here, whatever stories we tell, whether they're heaven or hell, there's no rush to farewell. We have space to dwell. This is my ode to the clearing, to this sit-down meal in a forest of fast food feeling. Thank you, everybody. How am I doing for time? Oof. Imagine you had one day left to live. Imagine. Would you pray? Would you forgive? Would you tell everyone how you feel? Sober? Run around until you keel over? Cook a final meal? Overthink as death was real? Or would you carry on as normal? Imagine you had 1 week left to live. Would you quit that grind that you hate? Issue writs to divide your estate? Wish your wits on a wide contemplating of pits that your mind can't escape? Or would you sit with a kind, honest mate, chew the grit and the rind of your fate? Or would you carry on as normal? Imagine you had 1 week, no. 1 month, no. Imagine the permanent Arctic frost is melting into the sea. How am I doing for time? 7 years? Okay, so I'm dying. 200 species vanish every day, so hot the cows won't touch their hay. Here the scientist, here the grazier, here Iceland who just wrote a plaque to mourn Och, their first lost glacier, and more will follow. But what's crazier is that we all know it's all for profit. We march to our death so that someone can make money off it, line their coffers with our stolen breaths. Make me an offer. How am I doing for time? We all know that you and I are being killed on burnt ground for a couple of dollar bills and ill-earned pounds, that koalas just got listed as endangered because the state sold their trees to the first crop who paid them, that when the Prime Minister of Australia meets the Prime Minister of Tonga, looks a weeping leader in the eye and says, your islands will have to go underwater because I can't let my coal industry die, so lead your people to the slaughter. We will burn for money and we will drown for money, and some of us already have. How am I doing for time? Imagine you had 7 years left to live. Would your day-to-day seem strange? What would you change? If you knew, and we do, that a powerful few would end your world for profit, and it would take all of us working together to block it, would you fight for your life to stop it? Yeah. Or would you carry on as normal? My psyche says it's normal to feel distressed and to fight for my future with every ounce, but she also says that I need to rest and water my roots between the bouts. So I'm trying to savor everything. Every last bite of fruit, every hand, every tune, not a glance too minute, every word shared with you, but despite all this beauty, that question drills through. How am I doing?